Tired of thinking about drinking, trying to control it, and ending up in the same loop? Welcome to the Feel Good Alcohol Free podcast, where high achieving women learn how to step out of the stop start cycle and build a life that feels calm, clear, and alcohol free on purpose. I'm your host, Lindsay Hennekey, accredited sober coach and former high functioning drinker. After more than a decade of drinking every night while keeping up a big career and a life that looked fine from the outside, I rebuilt my identity from the inside out. Now I help women stop negotiating with themselves and trust their own decisions again. This isn't a podcast full of cliches or willpower pep talks. You're getting real conversations, lived experience coaching, and practical tools you can use inside your actual life, not perfect conditions. So take a breath. You're here because you're ready to feel good in your real life. So let's get started. Welcome back. I hope you're doing amazing. And I'm so glad that you're taking time for yourself to listen to this episode, because what that tells me is that you are actively working at quitting drinking. It's one of those things where we say like, oh, I quit drinking, or oh, I'm quitting drinking. And when you say I'm quitting drinking, I want you to know that doesn't have to mean that you haven't had your last drink. You're like in training and you are building the new identity, this version of you who no longer drinks or thinks about alcohol. So, okay, today we're talking a little bit about perimenopause, midlife, and alcohol. Do you remember when you were in your 20s? What a time when you could stay out until 2 o'clock in the morning and grab this like greasy, gross breakfast and a Gatorade and take like a 20-minute nap and be completely back to normal by lunchtime? Yes. I remember those days, and I lived many mornings like just how I described. But fast forward to now, maybe you're 40, 50, 60, and you have 2 glasses of wine with dinner and you are incapacitated for 48 hours. You feel puffy. Your brain feels like it's wrapped in cotton and you're wondering like, why does this feel so much harder than it used to? I know. Why? So, okay, if you're over 40, you're not imagining this. This is like the double whammy of aging and perimenopause and just what alcohol is doing to our bodies. We were just far more resilient in our 20s. A night out didn't set us back days of living back then. And so I hear this so much from the women that I work with. You know, the women that I work with who hire me when you join Feel Good AF, they're polished. These are successful women. And they say something to me on repeat. It's like, Lindsay, I just can't handle it anymore. One drink feels like five. And you're at a point in your career and your life where you have the most responsibility that you've ever had, yet your body's ability to bounce back has totally plummeted. And it is kind of interesting because we could recover so much faster when we were in our 20s. But like, I don't know, other than, my job in my early 20s was to get good grades in college, not upset my dad with my educational success, and then find gainful employment after. Like that was what I was responsible for. And looking back, it actually feels kind of easy compared to what the rest of life doled out. But this drinking, it leads to this like specific kind of frustration because you feel like you've lost everything about you, like this identity where you used to be able to just have a glass of wine after dinner. And it's like you get to this point where you're sitting in meetings or you're managing your kids' schedules and you're just feeling really heavy and you're feeling really irritable. And you're using that nightly glass of wine to solve this situational anxiety of midlife because of your hormones. That wine is actually like almost pouring gasoline on the fire. Like our hormones they're very delicate now. They need extra attention. And so I think about this in my own sort of journey. I know my perimenopause experience right now is different than some in that when I was 41, I had a hysterectomy. So I have my ovaries, but I had, cervix, fallopian tubes, uterus removed. So I haven't had my period and I don't experience those types of fluctuations. When I think about what I went through before I had that hysterectomy, I was really anemic because I had a hostile uterus. My uterus was just riddled with fibroids and polyps on the inside and the outside. And I had many procedures to try to clean those things out. And eventually it was just decided that I had to have a hysterectomy because I was so severely anemic. And so, on top of being severely anemic to the point where my doctor I had to take a medication to suppress my period. Like, I was drinking alcohol daily, a bottle of wine. I was also just like checking out from the fact that this was going on with my body. I felt so, I guess, defeated. I felt betrayed by you know, my right. I felt like I had this right to be able to have children, and it wasn't the case for me. And so I was really drinking to check out from so many of those things, and it was making everything worse. And so this kind of leads into that perimenopause piece. So we have like perimenopause and the alcohol paradox, you may want to call it. It's like, why is this happening? And so as we move into this stage, our estrogen levels, they start to tank. And estrogen isn't just for reproduction, it helps regulate our sleep and our mood and how we metabolize what we consume. So, see, that is very important because when we are consuming alcohol, our estrogen is affected. So, when your estrogen drops and maybe you've already, and if you haven't, definitely like speak to your doctor about HRT if that's something, a road that you want to go down, because when your estrogen drops, your body becomes more sensitive to the inflammatory effects of alcohol, basically. And alcohol causes these massive dopamine spikes that your aging nervous system can no longer level out easily. And so it leads to this feeling of being flat or anxious the next day. And so, on top of this, your liver and your kidneys, these are the engines that process all of that wine and alcohol. They're starting to function less efficiency under the stress of the alcohol and the shifting hormones. And so this is why, the old days of Gatorade and a nap, that strategy has been replaced by basically 2 weeks of bloating and brain fog and total exhaustion. And so this is the level of the change that we are going through as women. It's not something that you're imagining. You're not imagining the fact that 15 or 20 years ago, you used to like go on a girls' weekend that maybe was a total bender and then come home and within 24 hours you were fine. Those days are over, my beautiful friend. And now that you are in this phase of your life, you need to take care of yourself. We need, as women, need to be taking care of ourselves. And that mostly includes what we choose to put in our body. One of my favorite sayings is, you are what you eat. I also am somebody who not only did I drink to manage my emotions, but I stress eat. I eat my feelings, as they say. And so I'm very aware of when I have a little sugary binge in the afternoon, how that makes me feel. I deal with some of my emotions by eating. And I already know that it doesn't make me feel better. It actually makes me feel worse because then I'm worried about my weight. And it's just like all of this stuff. But we are what we eat, not just physically, but emotionally. I know that when I eat a certain way or when I used to drink wine, that my emotional well being was going to be sacrificed. That was me not taking care of myself, not prioritizing my mind, my body, and my brain. So it's not just we are what we eat, we are what we consume. And alcohol is not supportive of our health and well being on any level. I really believe that like alcohol and wellness, they do not belong in the same sentence. And I'm not going to bash any specific creator, but when I see influencers who are, diet or health and wellness, fitness, nutrition influencers who are quite honestly condoning or teaching you how to like build alcohol into your macros and fit it in, it really, to me, just like doesn't even add up or make sense because part of living a nutritious or part of building good nutrition for yourself and part of having a healthy lifestyle and exercise, that means that you have to be able to get good rest. You have to be able to sleep. And we know that alcohol disrupts your sleep. And then when we look at wellness, we look at health and longevity and feeling good, which is one of the many reasons why I named my program Feel Good AF. You can decide what the AF stands for. I think you know. There's like two reasons, two meanings, but like that's why I named it that. And when we look at alcohol and put it next to the word wellness, there's no line to each other. Okay. Alcohol is linked to 7 different types of cancer. Alcohol disrupts our sleep. Alcohol makes it challenging to maintain a healthy weight. Alcohol makes us feel shame, disappointment, guilt, self-loathing. It's a depressant. So while it gives us 20 minutes of maybe like feeling okay, a little bit of relief, that instant gratification, after that 20 minutes, it actually makes us depressed and feel worse. So the next time that I'm going to give you a couple of assignments, I'm going to give you an assignment related to cravings today. And then I also want to give you an assignment related to when you have a drink. And so let's start with that one first. But I really want you to think about if health and wellness is valuable to you, if it is like something that you deeply care about, then think about how alcohol conflicts with that. Because one of the things that I teach inside Feel Good AF is I teach you about really connecting to what is important to you. You can call these your core values. Okay. So if health and wellness is something that is important to you, then the things that you say yes to need to connect directly to that core value. Everything. So let me give you an example. Let's say that your core values are connection, are health and wellness, and we'll say that and we'll just go with those two today. So let's say these are 2 of your core values. If health and wellness is a core value, that might look like eating healthy. That might look like exercising regularly. That might look like a good skincare routine, good nutrition, plenty of protein, plenty of fats. You feel full at every meal. You're balanced, lots of vegetables and fruit. That might be what it looks like. But wine or alcohol, knowing what we know, goes against all of that. So, what are you going to say yes to when it relates to health and wellness versus what are you going to say no to? You're going to say yes to walking every day. Somebody says, let's go for a walk. Yes, that's a yes. I'm a yes on a walk. It connects, it aligns with my core value of what's important with me around health and wellness. If somebody says, you want to go and check out the new salad bar in the office cafe, there's a new salad bar. Well, I eat salad. I'm healthy. I eat foods that make me feel full, make me feel healthy, make me feel good. They have plenty of protein. Yep, that's aligned with health and wellness. I'm a yes. I'm going to go check out the new salad bar in the office cafe. Do you want to go out and share a bottle of Prosecco after work tonight? Because I just wrapped up this big project. Oh my gosh, it would be so awesome if we went out and just celebrated now that we have this project behind us. Well, health and wellness is very important to me. And I planned on going for a run tomorrow morning before work. So a, share a bottle of Prosecco. No, that's a no. Nope, that's a no. However, I would love to celebrate. Now I'm getting into a little bit of boundary setting here and just how you make your decisions when it comes to your core value of health and wellness. No, but I would love to celebrate with you after work tonight because of this big project. I too am so happy that this is behind us and it was such a success. Why don't we go out? If you want to have Prosecco, like you do you, I'm just gonna have a mocktail. So I don't wanna share a bottle of anything. I'm gonna have a mocktail. And I can only stay for an hour because I've got some stuff to do at home tonight. And I wanna make sure that my workout clothes are laid out for the morning and I've got my breakfast plan ready for tomorrow because I'm going for a run early tomorrow morning. So do you see the difference? You said yes to what works for you and aligns with your core value, and you said no to what doesn't. So this is the this is that boundary setting. This is like how you navigate your alcohol-free life. You're not missing out. You're still celebrating with your coworker. So let's look at if one of your core values is connection. And this core value comes up a lot with the women that I work with because alcohol creates distance between us and the people that we care about and the things that we care about. And so, for example, you've become accustomed to coming home every night and drinking wine and to relax and check out. And then this also trickles into your weekends. And so you cancel plans, you don't spend time with loved ones. You're disconnecting, you're isolating. It becomes something where we're not relaxing anymore. We're just totally isolating ourselves from the world. And this was the case for me. I have many other podcast episodes about this, and I talk a lot about this on my social media. But like we start to isolate. And so now we're really lonely. We don't have connection. Even with your husband or your partner or somebody that you live with, there's distance that grows there. But if connection, if like having deep relationships and close relationships is something that is really important to you, no, alcohol is getting in the way of that. So when your husband says something like, hey, let's go out to dinner tonight. Well, the answer is yes. Yes, I can't wait to go out to dinner tonight with you. I'm so looking forward to catching up. It has been such a busy day or a busy week, and it would mean the world to me for us to just go out to dinner, just the two of us, and really talk. Now, that's the yes. And the no is relaxing on the couch with wine, choosing to be like, no, I just need some downtime. Like, how many times I told my husband, like, I really just want some time to myself tonight. I need some downtime. And that equaled me sitting on the couch, drinking 1, 2 bottles of wine alone, creating more distance between my husband and I. Now, I would also say no to alcohol out to dinner with my husband because, hello, that now we're going back to our other core value of health and wellness. So it's like, yes, I'm going out to dinner with my husband and I'm going to spend time with him and we're going to talk. And by the way, not drinking helps that conversation and build that connection, those deep conversations. Because when you're drinking, the conversations they tend to stay surface level, or all the resentment that you've been building up, which this is also something that we talk heavily about inside Feel Good AF, is all that resentment that's building up, like after the dinner, you're in a fight and it's like, oh my gosh, where did this go sideways? And so you're saying yes to connection and spending time with your husband. You're also saying yes to your health and your well-being. And that means like closeness and these relationships. So this is how navigating your core values and saying yes to only the things that line up with the you that you want to be, that authentic, genuine person who values health and wellness, values connection with her loved ones. And she's saying no to alcohol because she knows that that gets in the way. Okay, now that's the piece to get you to feel good and make the decisions, the background. But how do you manage the cravings? There's something that I read about, and it's Dr. Alan Marlett, and he created something called urge surfing. And so we want to urge surf this craving, that happens at 4 p.m. And so when the 4 p.m. craving hits, it might feel like a big demand on you. Your thoughts, you're focused on it. It's like all you want. Your brain tells you that you need the glass of wine to survive the rest of the evening or to check out from the day. And so let's talk about Dr. Marlette's urge surfing for a second here. So a lot of us try to fight these cravings or maybe white knuckle our way through it. But what is happening when we do that is it's just creating more tension. And so, what I want you to do instead is sit with it. I know that feels really challenging. And trust me, there's a time and place to distract yourself from cravings. And a lot of that is to help you build repetition so that you actually don't feel like you're white knuckling all the time. I don't want you to do this every single day. I want you to be productive and start doing the things that you say you're going to do after work or when these craving hits so that you're living that time frame the way you want to be living. But we have to get through the cravings and understand them before we can do that. So sit with it. I want you to notice this craving as if it was something kind of a wave, like it's just something going through you. And I want you to notice the physicality of it. Where is the craving? Where do you feel this in your body? And is it tightness in your chest? Is it tightness in your neck or the back of your head? Is it restlessness in your hands? Are you feeling fidgety? And I want you to notice it without judging it and don't try to change it. We're not fixing anything yet here because the idea is to familiarize yourself with what this craving is. And so the next thing is, what are you thinking? Because remember, we always have to be challenging our thoughts. Just because we think something doesn't mean that it's true. So identify what these thought patterns are that you are having when you have the craving. What is your brain telling you? And honestly, it's usually a big fat lie. You might be saying something like, I can't handle these kids without a drink. Or I deserve this drink because I had a shitty day and my boss yelled at me. Or my boss is just a jerk. He moved that stupid deadline up another week when I already told him that we were stretched thin. You have to change the belief and say, just challenge it. Is that true? Just because I'm thinking I need a glass of wine because I had a rough day at work? No. Is it true? No. You are an incredibly capable woman who handles senior level deadlines and complex family logistics. You don't need the wine. You're just feeling depleted. You need to chill the F out, girl. All right. Now, I want you to ride this wave. Cravings, they last 20 minutes if you don't feed them with thoughts of drinking. See, the reason why the craving and a whole night can feel like white knuckling is because you're feeding the thought. You're not changing the thought. So you need to watch this wave of the urge really peak and then it'll naturally subside. Now, once you sit in this discomfort rather than checking out from it, you're proving to your body, to your nervous system, that a craving is not this big emergency in your life. You don't need to, pour water over the fire, AKA, you don't need to pour alcohol over your craving. This is just a sensation that you're having. And you, my friend, are the one who's in control. This is the thing. You have control over this, but guess what? Only you. I cannot single-handedly fix this for you. You have to do it. You are in control of so much more than you think you are. I promise you that. You just have to practice managing these cravings, sitting through them, noticing what's really coming up for you so you can address that. I promise you, you will get there if you do it. Your body is telling you you need a new strategy. Implement this, give this a try, send me a message, let me know how it goes. And, this is not something that happens overnight. You didn't become a daily drinker overnight. You're not going to quit drinking overnight. When you say, I'm quitting drinking, that's a very positive thing. And it doesn't mean the first time you say it that you never have a drink again. There's slips, there's slides, there's cravings. Sometimes you give into the cravings. The idea is that more times you don't. And the more that you can get comfortable being uncomfortable in those situations, you're not even going to be worried about a craving anymore. Okay. All right. Let me know if you work through some of these assignments today. I hope that this episode was super helpful for you. I really aim to just serve and show up for you in a way that makes you feel supported and cared for. So if you're ready, you know that there are a few ways to work with me. And it's like, you've got to stop fighting your biology and you've got to start feeling lighthearted again. So let's get to work. You can work with me 3 different ways. There's a 90-minute intensive. The link is in the show notes. You can join my group coaching or my private coaching. In all areas, you are going to have a plan to move forward. And it's always going to be positive. I've never had a woman say, "Oh my gosh, I wish I didn't do that. That was zero help." Like, hello, no. You are going to move forward and you are going to move forward faster. 90-minute intensive, we're going to look at your specific triggers and we're going to create a custom roadmap for your whole summer. Summer is just kicking off and we will define what success looks like. Success may not look like linear. It's going to have slips and slides. So let's define it so that you feel good about it. You can join my group coaching. Sit in the room with other women who are also navigating perimenopause, career stress, family stress, all of these demands. You're going to realize that you're not alone. You're just in this new season of life and it's very challenging. If you want private coaching, maybe that's where you're directing. Look, this is when you want that deeper, high level support to navigate this like total mud season. This feels like walking through mud when you're going through this journey. You get so much access to me. In any of my programs, you get a lot of access to me, but one-on-one, it's going to be so close knit and we're going to just pick apart every area of your life. We're going to slowly deconstruct it and we're going to slowly create the version of you who no longer thinks about alcohol. There's going to be slips, but it's not going to matter. It's going to be those slips. I teach you how to make them so useful so that they happen less, 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 and less. Okay. Click the link in the show notes. It's time to stop this double whammy of perimenopause and alcohol and not being able to recover and start to feel good AF. Okay. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Feel Good Alcohol Free podcast. If this episode landed for you, it would mean a lot if you left a review. That's how this show reaches more women who are ready to stop living in the drinking loop and start leading themselves with confidence again. I'm on a mission to change the way high achieving women think about alcohol because you don't need more willpower or more rules around your drinking. You need real support, real tools, and the truth about what's actually possible for you. So keep showing up for yourself. Keep telling the truth about what you want. And remember, the life you want isn't found in a glass or a bottle of wine. It's built in the decisions that you can stand behind, the ones that you feel really good about. My DMs are always open, and I can't wait to get to know you better. I will see you next week in the next episode.